Greetings, everybody. Keith here. Hoping everybody's having a good day, enjoying life, living life, loving life. Want to remind everybody, hit that like, share, and subscribe. There's a PayPal button down there for anybody that wants to share some love. And, of course, the StreamYard link is there for anybody that wants to join the panel. How you doing tonight, John?
Yeah, doing real good, Keith.
Good.
Hey, thanks for putting on the boys yesterday. You had the pastor, you had Floyd, you had Brian Parker. Thanks for putting them together, man. It was really good.
Yeah, we're all
Really
coming together to get a resolve for what's going on that will help better affect that very resolve itself, not just among ourselves, but to let it grow outside of us so other people can take advantage of that. And again, the true benefit is the knowledge, guys. So we got some things we're going to go over tonight. The first thing I've got is as it relates to nature and nature's God. There are certain things that are repetitive, not just through history and not just through mankind, but through nature. And so there are certain behavioral characteristics that we see that aren't limited to just man, despite the aspect that we think we're of a higher mind. So I got the first one here is rival monkeys have huge gang fight in front of shocked drivers. You see, this is literally what's happening within our society. We're becoming our own separate little gangs. Instead of coming together, we're creating our own little separate little gangs and familias and things like that. We're living in such close quarters that the actual natural resources are very limited. Everything's covered over with a fucking concrete slab. It causes psychological issues, and it's all again not because of a societal power or anything, but because we give up certain powers for a convenience of supposedly having the protection of living so close.
มาดูลิงครับยกพวกตีกันอีกแล้ว รถต้องหยุดรอกันแล้วล่ะครับตอนนี้
Do you see the similar behaviors? We want to gather up in big groups as if though we have the right to gather like that and cause problems for other people. That isn't the right of the government to, or the right to petition the government for redress. That's your concept of being able to protest. And what you do is you go out, you protest in the form of a gang. It's the same damn thing. Just because you have clothes on your back and you think you're societally better doesn't mean a damn thing. In your natural capacity, you act the same way. And it's amazing how comfortable these people are with all these monkeys like that. See, this is, again, I think it's systemic in areas like this where they have all these kinds of monkeys in the city walls. That's not their natural habitat. I mean, look how many of them there are. I don't know if you would be wise to feel comfortable in that situation. Yeah. Yeah, see, they're jumping up and down on this cart right here. Yeah, look at them all.
เอาอีกแล้วลุมกันกลางถนนเลยได้ยินเสียงไหมน่ะดังน่าดู
That's amazing. Good one, JG. This is just a fine example of natural behavior that you don't see yourself doing. Been going on for ages, eons. People gather up. The gang thing isn't a new age thing. They've had gangs throughout history, and it's an animalistic behavior in larger groups that profess that psychologically the aggression professes that there's something that they're not getting, so they're trying to expand again. See, you're not supposed to get condensed into small areas. You're supposed to stay expansive. That way the environment can handle you. You get too dense and there's not enough resources. Yeah, see, these monkeys are violating this man's right to travel. See, they're stopping him, and you're not supposed to do that, right? See, it's the same behavior. They don't give a fuck what else is going on. They're there to protest and stand as a warring faction in the physical form, to put a stop to something that they think is not right, or to acquire something that they think is theirs. It's an animalistic behavior.
ไม่เลิกกันง่ายๆแล้วทีนี้
Look at them, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands.
Can
you imagine that, John?
Well, I don't know about your state, but we got fences everywhere. Mine, so that means either they're putting us in prison or in some kind of zoo because we're animals.
Yep. Well, it's not let me stop. There we go. Yeah, it's like going to a zoo. You wonder about it, you know. Have you ever seen a monkey stand there and grab his shit and fling it out at people? People will literally do that to you. Lock them up and see what they do. Prisoners do it all the fucking time. It's a matter of actions and reactions, and what kind of character you recognize yourself in, so you can discern for yourself what's good for yourself, rather than let a community say, well, this is good for you, hang with us, in that gang mentality type thing. I mean, how do you really express yourself as being competent of being in this world and being able to live by the standards of the world if you've never lived by the standards of the world and take on the cupcake society living where you have police that supposedly protect you, but the courts say, well, they have no duty to protect? What makes us, in a psychological sense, believe that that is any one bit good for us, let alone good enough that we should take upon it as a convenience or a comfort? How sick is that?
Yeah.
We really
Well,
have to think about what we're doing.
we keep lowering our standards, Keith. So I don't think we're even aware of half of what we're doing.
Yep. Now, one of the things I wanted to point out here when it comes to these contracts and stuff and how they play out, this is a perfect example of how you can change the monetary system to make sure it's not going to be used against you or to cause you some kind of detriment or to create an imbalance in the equal consideration. And so what happens is, now you have all of these places that have um, certain activities that go on, like a bar or a restaurant and stuff, and they have these other machines that take in quarters or tokens of some sort, money, U.S. money. And in the quarter sense, with the machines that take them quarters, laundromats and stuff like that, if somebody had to put their own coins in, the proprietor of the business that had the vending machine there had to put their own coins in, there's usually a agreement with the vendor that they get their own money back, that the only money they make off of is the customers, because there's a lease agreement here. And we're not technically using it, but at times we may put our own money in there to excite and generate some more customer business that will. So in order for us to keep track of that, we colored the coins.
Time in junk silver. Why are they red? What's the point?
Those coins are considered house coins.
House coins. Again, it goes to the thing about keeping your houses in order. See, if you're at business and you're the boss, you're the head of the agency, you got to keep that stuff in order. You have to know what's going on, and you have to make sure what goes out comes back, all this stuff. If you're at home, that boss hat, in the same responsible manner, has the father hat. But instead of dealing it with the business of a house as money, it's dealing with the house of legacy and heirs, and there are different emotions and objectives and stuff. So they're two totally different characters, while wearing the same type of hat: a boss or a father, a leader. So we have to think about the houses and who you gambling with. Are you using the house chips, or are they your chips? Is it your house? Keep your houses in order.
Back when there were jukeboxes, 3 plays for a quarter or 10 cents a play, a bar owner or a restaurant owner typically did not own the jukebox. Some company placed it there, and the company then would, pick up the quarters once a week or periodically that people put into play. If there was no music playing, if no customer had put money in, oftentimes the owner would put in his or her own money so that there would be music in the restaurant, but they wanted their quarter back. So they would paint their coins red so that when the owner of the machine would come pick up the rest of the change, they would know to leave what's called the house coin, because that's when the owner played the machine.
The owner. Remember what he said. The owner of the machine was the one that rented the space of the other owner. So they each bought and sold something from each other. In that buying and selling, if the owner of the place where the other entity made a placement, see how those contracts work? It's all understanding the equal consideration and equal benefit, and how to value those two different markets and the two different values of the two different markets. It's an arbitrage. The next one.
You should put those machines in private placement.
Yes, it's a private contract, and it's arbitrary. It's arbitrary. Arbitrage and arbitrary are the same thing, and if you have the ability to arbitrate by a third party if you come to a controversy in your private agreement. What's happening is we've got third parties bringing controversy and saying you don't have a right to arbitrate. You violated the contract, or you violated the law, you know, and that's bullshit. You have to learn the language. Come on.
And supported in a time of extreme fear, it's hard not to think of Benjamin Franklin's great quote from 1755. Those who would give up essential liberty to purchase a little temporary safety deserve neither liberty nor safety. And also John Adams, back when he was one of the good guys, pointed out that fear is the foundation of most governments. Of course, I would just remove the word most on that one, but the sentiment is absolutely true, and we are living in that reality today. When thinking
Hitler's
about
willing
the Patriot
executioners.
Act, which obviously should never have existed in the first place, but was passed.
Hitler's willing executioners, because the people of the country were rooted up and exalted in patriotism. And that was paying homage or tribute to an earthly father. There is no earthly father. The earth is the mother.
And supported in a time of extreme fear, it's hard not to think of Benjamin Franklin's great quote from 1755.
If you're not going to stand up for them, you don't have them, and you don't deserve them. So just sit right back down, keep stuffing yourself with all that processed food and drinking that poison, watching somebody else's life on a boob tube, whether it be dramatic, comedy, mystery, adventure, whatever. Because one day they'll just come to your door, and you won't know what to do then. See, now is the time for action.
Those who would give up essential liberty to purchase a little temporary safety deserve neither liberty nor safety. And also John Adams, back when he was one of the good guys, pointed out that fear is the foundation of most governments. Of course, I would just remove the word most on that one, but the sentiment is absolutely true, and we are living in that reality today.
Hitler's willing executioners. Because it's comfortable for you to let somebody else tell you something's wrong and believe that what they tell you is wrong is why they arrested your neighbor, when in fact you don't know a fucking thing about it. How pathetic. And this I'm referring to the bitch-ass slaves that refused to do anything about it. Because remember again, I too was a bitch-ass slave. I too was a fucking fool. I too used to fear the government. Then one day I put my foot down and said, no, there's something fucking wrong here. Time to put your foot down, folks. The next one we got, and it's going to make me go through this. It's not pulling
Nor
up my
could
sound.
they be enforced contrary to the sense of a majority of the states. From this, we get 4 essential points. 1, governments are going to do what governments do. They're going to violate any rules set for them. 2, just telling them to stop doesn't work. They're still going to try to enforce their unconstitutional acts. 3, when a bunch of states refuse to help, the feds don't have the resources to enforce their laws or implement their programs. And 4, most importantly, this all requires the people to refuse to comply because there's nothing to enforce if the people just obey. All acts of the Congress not warranted by the Constitution would be void, nor could they be enforced contrary to the sense of a majority of the states.
See, this is where the law is equal among the states, but we have the implementation of federal codes and rules and everything by the states. It's a funny system, and that's why the people have to allow the support of the federal government so they can come in and do something when the states are violating the people without federal codes ability to step in. Now they can. Indemnification is what we're talking about.
Well, if God wanted us to vote, he would have given us candidates.
Yep. It's like when even my own family surrounded me saying I was causing harm but not getting vaxxed. By not getting vaxxed. Yep. I was like, you fucking Nazis. Absolutely. Absolutely. Nobody has any authority or power, nor do I think anybody could actually conceive that power would be given through an act of God, the very breath that we take, each and every one of us, that another man would have the power to overtake that very breath and inspiration of life of another man, an act of God. It doesn't happen. Greetings, Noah. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing well. I was really enjoying your last show. Or the rundown you gave of what was that law? What were you reading from earlier? Oh man, I'm totally butchering it. Well, anyway, you guys had a great conversation, and I thought I'd join in and then just say hi.
Yep, absolutely. That SEC document. Yep.
Yeah, that's it. That was amazing.
Yeah, we're going to be breaking more of that stuff down every Sunday night. Me and hopefully we'll have a full panel of 10 guys that have been doing this for a while. And we can actually start filling some gaps and doing things now. You know, that's what we're talking about, is making it effective, and then going to the activity of doing it ourselves, so then we can teach others, and then they can too go forth and do it.
Yeah, that's been my biggest problem, is how to communicate anything that I've been talking or listening to and conveying it. But when you use scripture and you have all that and you're articulate about it, that's where I fall short, and it makes it hard to connect the two. If you're supposed to swear on a Bible when you go to court and all this stuff, and you should know the truth and hold the truth, not but the truth, but yet I can't even recite things and connect the dots on how court and the Bible are related, then it makes me feel kind of inadequate to talk about it. And then when you throw in UCC plus the codes of federal regulations and other things like that, it's like, where do you start? How do you even begin? And when you have all this mismatch of stuff, it's really hard to communicate clearly. Plus, you miss one thing and somebody's going to think you're crazy, or, send them down a rabbit hole and they get in trouble. So it's really just trying to, you're doing a great job trying to, actually, you're the best one out there for me right now that has pointed out the codes and read them, because at this point, when I hear people yelling at each other, you have every right to travel. Well, show me the law, or show me how to avoid the licensing or the registration, and let's not do it in tiptoe and yell at each other. If there's a process to do this, let's just try to document it, be nice about it, and then share it with the rest of us. Because if we just learn this and we die with this information, what was the point? So anyhow, I'm rambling, but it just shows that I just wanted to join you and say hi.
Absolutely. Great to have you. Great to have you. So the next one we got, let's make sure we
From this, we get 4 essential points. 1, governments are going to do what...
governments are going to do what they're going to do. And that's why it's important to understand the Constitution. Like I said in the videos here just recently, the trickle down. It's a trickle down charge. It's like a trickle down charger in electrical systems. They're going to let that charge trickle down, but it's going to trickle down to you. You just have to know how to deal with it. That's all it is. So the next one we got, Lysander-Spooner.
Law is absolute and unqualified from the moment the law is enacted. Nullification is a natural right, and it doesn't require permission from government ever. Thomas Jefferson said that when the government oversteps its bounds, a nullification of the act is the rightful remedy.
And that's what I was speaking about yesterday in the extraterritorial, extrajudicial, anything like that. You know, anything outside of their bounds is extra, and they're not qualified to do it. That they lose their qualified immunity and all that shit. So it's a matter of recognizing that boundary, knowing when it happens, and being able to point it out to them and letting them know that you're going to hold them accountable for that.
Jefferson also pointed out that the people of the states have a natural right, in cases not within the compact, to nullify of their own authority all assumptions of power by others within their limits.
Assumptions of power. And remembering that thing, that's what it's all about. It's all about assumptions and presumptions. We have to stop it, and the only way we can do it is you. You have to do it, just like we are.
Hey Keith, if you have a second, there's a document. It's the CDC Alert 1 PDF. If you look up CDC Alert 1 and Alert 2 PDF and see if it comes up. What it says during the COVID stuff is, I had to point this out and people still thought it didn't matter. It said the doctors could assume the death as COVID.
Right.
Right? So
yeah.
It was like, well, they told them it twice in a document and then bolded it in the second one. It's like, how can you let someone assume anything? So,
yeah, especially in a medical society that has to have specific determinations of death.
I'll share that in the link in the chat comments, because that pissed me
Yep.
off more than anything, because the wording just allowed a doctor to make this grandiose just guess.
Yep.
This is, and so that led a lot of pain and suffering. And so that to me is, I don't know how to get around it. I kept saying that would be like a, let's say Title 18, 241, 242. You pretended that this is a thing, but yet you were acting as it was.
Well, and that's one of those things. If you watched my video earlier, I talked about the Authors Guild and the various different elements that I'm trying to express. And one of those is that we have many different languages in which we can speak in. We can speak silently through hand sign language. We can speak silently in video through text on screen. Things like, we don't have to be vocal and oral and verbal about it. So the various different expressions come with their various different emotions and personalities and the hats that we wear. And it's so important to know thyself and how you can conduct yourself. That's just like this very government that I express. If you go out and buy 5 puzzles from one puzzle company, they're all 100-piece puzzles. What you'll find is they've got 5 different pictures, but the die that they use to cut all the pieces is the same, because it cuts the expense from having to make different shaped dies. They can use one die and then just change the picture. So what we've got is 5 puzzles that are cut with the same die, got 5 different pictures all mixed together. Now you got to try to figure it out. Same thing with your personalities, but you get the internal look. You get to see each picture and exactly where it started from first, despite how it got cut up. So let's continue on. That going outside of their limits, without their authority, they don't have any authority. Like I've been pointing out, it's not law. There is no authority. It's an assumption of adoptions that pose that they are true and correct, and that they should be reasonably accepted. But again, listen to the words and the language and find out why you shouldn't.
And James Madison agreed, writing that the nullification meant by Mr. Jefferson is the natural right, which all admit to be a remedy against insupportable oppression. As Lysander Spooner put it, the right of the people to resist an unconstitutional law is absolute and unqualified.
Unqualified, absolute and unqualified. And I'll say here, Lysander Spooner is one of my favorites, and I don't talk about him much, because if you go back and read his writings and stuff, you will find that when I tell you, you really need to unlearn what they taught you in that English and get some concise English, You go back and try to read his, and you're going to find out you're even going to have to learn how they did the morpheme of the letters, because he was writing even before what we have today as modern English. You will see how the language has been slowly converting to what we have today. They don't speak the same way we do today as we used to. And also I'll mention that there's American English and British English. They're two different things as well. So the next one, and feel free to step in anytime yourself, John.
Yeah, and there's all the subdivisions too of our English. Like we can go back to Shakespearean English. There's legalese, slang.
Yep. And it's something that, like I said about everything else, it all repeats throughout history. You just have to learn how to correlate it and see it. In order to do that, you have to have experience in those languages and those literatures and stuff. You have to have read Odyssey and the trilogy of Gandalf and all that, and see the literal art change and the different concepts posed by the different authors, to see the same thing in the art world, the different styles of art. It all...
Yeah, Shakespearean would not be American, so that was a mistake. But you get the point that there's all these,
right,
like even like anatomy, that's another language, right? In a sense, Keith.
Yep. Your anatomy is distinct, and they use it in the medical and science, in anthropology and stuff, to look back to see who your predecessor creatures were. The things that you supposedly evolved from. Imagine that. We all evolved from a one-cell amoeba of some sort, huh? You think? I don't know.
Not at all. No way.
So the next thing we got is a traffic stop.
Driver refused to ID. Things took a turn.
The reason I'm stopping is I couldn't read your paper plate.
Yeah, just right there.
I see that. I couldn't read it though.
All right.
You have your driver's license with you, sir?
And he's going to make a good point here. He couldn't read it, but once he got out, now he could. In so reading, it's issued from the Secretary of State.
I do.
Can I see it, please?
You can read the plate, though, right?
Now I can. I'm up here now. Yeah.
All right. I want to keep my information private then.
Well, see, you're being stopped for a lawful reason, so.
I want to keep my information private. See, there's a presumption that it's already in private placement, and now somebody from the public sector has to have you issue it to them. See the problem?
Well, your probable cause is already satisfied because you can read the plate. So,
Can I please see your license?
you can see it, all right?
Now I can.
Can we get a supervisor?
Okay. Why do we have to wait for the supervisor?
Well, because I just want to make sure everything is
Because you're too dumb to understand the law.
lawful.
I don't understand why you're making it a way bigger deal than it is. I don't
Because you're too dumb to understand the law. You're going to sit here and argue with me, somebody that does know the law.
know who you are. If you were
You don't need to know who I am. No. That's not how that works. That's not how that works.
You were the
So you just get to know who I am.
And see, he's presuming that plate is for registration. That's a temporary plate while in transfer, in transit. Oops.
I got the right for you to not know who I am.
Yeah,
I got that right.
But when the supervisor came, they booked the guy.
He has 30 days to let him know it's not abandoned property. It's been transferred to the beneficiary. It's been delivered. It reached the final destination, the end of the line, the last mile, the intended receiver.
And got sued for it. This cop pulled a guy over claiming he couldn't see his car plates. Then
Once you saw him, now you don't have any reasonable excuse. You should be able to recognize them for what they are and not dismiss it and say, well, I still need your ID. Not how it works. You can't just make shit up along the way and say, well, you have to argue it in court.
Are you talking about the dealer plates that are paper that are required to have a license number instead of a Lexus dealership where it's generic? Is that what he's talking about? Or is it like the
Well,
private plate that I want to write?
It's the one issued by the Secretary of State in transit.
Oh.
And it's got to be from delegated with authority from the Secretary of State because it's in transit without title. The next one and it, because everybody's giving a blank endorsement. Absolutely. Oops. And you guys didn't even. We'll run it again. But what do you think about that? The Social Security system and the government, how it operates. I think he's pretty much spot on with the general welfare, and that correlates with me saying that if you're going to take it as a comfort and convenience, you're the one causing the problem, and you should know that this is what's happening. But no, you still see it as a convenience because it allows you to eat your processed foods and drink your poison drinks and live on in your nice luxury home and watch your boob tube and feel safe. It's your safe space. Please respect it. Greetings, JG. How you doing tonight?
Good, man. So where was that? The cop said he couldn't see his license.
Couldn't see his license plate because he didn't
License
have.
plate,
Yeah, he didn't have a license plate. He had a paper tag, and he couldn't read it. So he had to stop him so he could read it. Now he read it. Now he knows it's authorized by the Secretary of State. It should have been, okay, I just wanted to make sure you were good. Instead, he went beyond his duty, and now he's extraterritorial, extrajudicial, and he's violating this man's rights. He's not supposed to be talking to us. He's already got the qualified information that said he's good to go.
Yeah, where was the paper plate? The paper tag, I mean.
On the back.
On his window, right?
Right. Once he stopped, or no, I think he had it in his paper in the license plate thing. Let me go look.
When the driver refused to ID, things took a turn.
The reason I'm stopping is I couldn't read your paper plate.
Yeah, just right there.
I see that. I couldn't read it though.
All right.
You have your driver's license with you, sir?
I do.
Can I see it, please?
You can read the plate though, right?
Now I can. I'm up here now. Yeah.
All right. I want to keep my information private then.
Well, see, you're being stopped for a lawful reason, so.
Well, your probable cause is already satisfied because you can read the plate. So
he stopped him because he couldn't read the plate. Once he stopped, he admitted he could read it, so he no longer has probable cause.
Yeah, the cop doubled down.
Yeah, it's a big gamble, isn't it? Let's gamble, boys. Watch this.
Can I please see your license?
you can see it though, right?
Now I can.
Can we get a supervisor?
Okay, why do we have to wait for the supervisor?
Well, because I just want to make sure everything is lawful.
I don't understand why you're making a way bigger deal than it is. I don't know who you are. If you were,
You don't need to know who I am. No. That's not how that works. That's not how that works.
You were the.
So you just get to know who I am. I got the right for you to not know who I am.
Yeah,
I got that right.
But when the supervisor came, they booked the guy and got sued for it. This cop pulled a guy.
There's another video out of this guy. I'll see if I can find it. And they actually showed the plate, and I think they showed it was in the license plate area of the car.
Sorry, Keith, but this goes back to wanting to put private plates on or none at all because I, not wanting to register my, quote unquote motor vehicle. The issue is that if he bought it and he got it from the dealer with those plates, yeah, fine, but it's for the rest of us that are done with that, right? Or at least want to be done with that. That how does this compel the police officers to stay away from you, even if they can read private? They're still going to hassle you because it doesn't match the rest of the sheeples,
Well,
operating
eventually,
the way they are,
Eventually, we hope we're going to be able to get it to a point, like I've been talking about here lately with the indemnity, that when they ask us for information like the name and number, we can give them a name and address. We can give them a number in lieu of the name and address, and turn around, and when they look that number up, that number is going to say something like "do not intercept" or "not subject to intercept," things like that. And it's just going to be a matter, okay, well, have a good day, sir. Hopefully. But until then, again, and I can't even say that's going to be true or not, because I have a complete expectation of being pulled over the next time I get in a car. I always have that expectation, even if there is a license plate and everything on there. So the next one we got, the case that is shaking America.
Story recently, Karen Reed is being accused of killing John O'Keefe III, her boyfriend at the time, and also a police officer, with her car. The autopsy report has zero evidence of impact between a vehicle and another human being. The only evidence the Commonwealth has is evidence that John O'Keefe III suffered multiple blunt force trauma to the head impact shots. He was in a fight. Now, where's the cover-up? Why is Karen Reed being thrown under the bus? Because the government did it. His buddies killed him, and they're using Karen Reed to cover for them. It sounds like a conspiracy theory, but believe me when I say this.
See, when somebody's ass is on the line, these people that are in power, they do anything. And these are some of the most heinous crimes, when they turn around and bear false witness on their brother, because they're such cowards that they would pose that they have power to go around, kill people, and then hide from it. Pathetic. And these are the people that many people in these communities believe in and trust and respect, and it's just sickening. It's a society, like I said, growing to be Hitler's willing executioners. And
Well, people fear the police, and they act like they don't. They act like they, it's all front. A lot of times with people, oh, we support the police. No, you fear the police. It's all put on.
Yeah, well, that's why they'll only poke their heads out when they see the lights and hear the sirens, and look down to see them arresting their neighbor a couple blocks down. They ain't going to actually do anything about it. Never have and never will. Next one. This is a show that, and here's that lawyer again. This guy's an attorney, a DUI lawyer, and he would show this clip of a movie and tell you about real life experience of that exact same thing.
Let the record show that the witness has identified the defendant, Mr. Seki.
According to your testimony, you feel confident that you can identify this person. That's what you're saying.
It's him, your client.
You sure that's the person? There's no doubt in your mind. Take your time.
I don't need time. That's him.
Now, would you be surprised to learn, Mr. Harkness, that the person you just pointed to is not the defendant?
What?
And my client is in the back of the courtroom. Mr. Seki, would you please stand up?
Objection.
Now, the person you ID'd is named Hollis Early. He's a bartender down in Berlin. He has a very good alibi.
Oh, Mr. Goodman, really?
You didn't recognize.
All right. My apologies.
Who are you? Is the person who robbed you present in the court today?
There.
Let the record show that the witness has identified the defendant, Mr. P.I.G.S.C.U.N.T.S.
According to your testimony, you feel confident that you can identify this person. That's what you're saying.
It's him, your client.
You sure that's the person? There's no doubt in your mind. Take your time.
I don't need time. That's him.
Now, would you be surprised to learn, Mr. Harkness, that the person you just pointed to is not the defendant?
What?
And my client is in the back of the courtroom. Mr. P.I.G.S.C.U.N.T., would you please stand up?
Objection.
Now, the person you ID'd is named Hollis Early. He's a bartender down in Berlin. He has a very good alibi. Oh, Mr. Goodman, really? You didn't recognize him either.
You didn't recognize him either. See, that's how easy it is to help these people understand what they're doing is in fact lying, because they really don't know the truth. They're just so deeply involved and have this urgent need to be true, correct, and right, knowing that none of us are perfect, and still unwilling to admit error. This is the problem. Nobody wants to step up and accept that. So that when somebody like myself just plainly and bluntly states that truth, they get butthurt, and I'm the one that hurt them. No, I just stated a reality, and if you're hurt, you should be hurt because you're the one that's not stepping up to yourself. The next one.
You're saying you're making me go to the hospital.
Let's go, miss.
You see, yes. You're making me go to the hospital.
Yes. Let's go to the hospital.
Why can't they go? I was an aggressor. The aggressor. You're saying that they said.
I explained it to you.
Sir, you're saying that.
So the police officer is telling her she has to go to the hospital. Is he medically licensed?
No, not at all. Usually just in CPR.
So he can't give any authority or anything, right? You see what's wrong, people? Again, they're just Hitler's willing executioner. They're going to do whatever they can do, and they're going to do what the government does.
They said I was the aggressor. You see, you're saying that.
You really want to stay before this?
I sure do.
No, you don't.
Yes, I do.
This is only going to make things worse.
Sir, I have.
See?
For what? I didn't instigate this fight. He's saying that y'all said I was the aggressor. I've never started with this girl. This is what he's saying.
Let's go, miss.
Can we walk in? Why do I have to go?
Come on, miss.
Let's walk in. Sir, under what due diligence do you have to remove me from my shelter?
Yes, I explained it to you twice.
That you're trying to diffuse a situation that I didn't even start, and everything was on recording. Yeah, so how can you remove me and they were the aggressors and the attackers? Okay, we're
somebody with a clear for a man okay.
Well, why can't
you see? And this is stuff that they're admitting to. Yeah. So that itself is self-admittance that they're doing something wrong and not following a moral obligation to not make a fucking criminal out of the victim or to force her to do anything.
You remove the aggressors. Why can't you remove the aggressors?
Yes, let's go downstairs. Like a lady.
Like a lady?
Let's go.
Is that what you're saying?
Like an adult. You're not. You're not at all.
So he basically saying that I have to go to the hospital until things die down. It's not going to die down. This is the mentally ill, chemically addicted shelter. So
correct.
What's the point of me even going to the hospispital?
So you can talk out your problems. And
I don't want to talk to nobody.
And recording people.
And see, evidently she's in a home there, and again, they're not medically qualified. And so it goes to the issue that if there's somebody there that is medically qualified, what is the issue here? Is it a competency issue? Is somebody not being forthright in their actual duty of making sure that in that medical qualification that peace is upheld, and when situations like this, they're supposed to divide the people, separate them, so that it can calm down? And what they're doing to separate is take the victim out of the home as if though she's the problem. That ensures their job. because in the meantime, the two that are actually causing the problem are still there. Go ahead.
I feel like this is kind of like one of those resisting arrested for resisting arrest for resisting arrest. You know, you're just there. They want to just throw you in jail because they said so. And if you don't listen to the law, it's like a Judge Dredd thing. They're judge, jury, and executioner right there on the side of the street, or whenever they feel like it, or when their feelings get hurt. And this contempt of cop bullshit is so old, you know?
Absolutely.
The respect that we would give them respect, but at the same time, when I see the absolute lack thereof, and plus the seemingly the lack of self or human decency, they shoot someone, they just back up, scream at the person, put your hands behind your back when they're dead. No CPR, no medical assistance. That shows me right there they have no will to. So I don't know. It's a scary situation when they're just so ready to shoot people, you know, over usually words.
Yeah, and it's all for officer safety, and that's what's pushed on them night and day. Remember, guys, you got to go home at the end of the day.
Right, but if I fear for my life, what's the difference of them fearing for their life? What capacity makes their lives better than ours? That's the question I have.
Yep.
Well, isn't it clear? Because you just fabricated a story and said that the staff said they showed you a video of me stabbing the young girl, which was not true.
Oh yeah, you were in the room.
She just told me. That's the supervisor.
Show you what? She didn't tell you nothing.
You said that you never showed him the video of me stabbing her.
She said that she saw a pen.
You seen a pen? That's what you said. You seen a pen, and he said that. You showed him a video. Yes,
I didn't say it was her.
You told me.
Yeah, let's go.
See, and now they're cutting her off and won't let her speak. See, that's Dunning-Kruger, narcissism, control, all wrapped up into one. However you want to play it, it's psychotic control.
So they're telling her to go to the hospital. Now, are they looking out for her?
No, because what'll end up happening is if they give her a 5150, then she's on like a 72-hour hold that she can't do anything about, or her family can't. And the only people that I think can lift that would be the police. And how they give a psych hold for someone is beyond me if they're not medical professionals.
Yeah,
right. I got you. They're going to 302 her, but all right.
Yeah, it's a programming set up so that when they get somebody in the system, okay, say the 13-year-old young man had psychological issues, so they took him to a doctor, and the doctor decided that he had this, or this, and put him on neurotropics or something, and for, say, schizophrenia. And as he gets older, supposedly the schizophrenia gets worse and worse and worse, right? Is it really the schizophrenia that gets worse and worse and worse? Or is it because he keeps telling him, no, I'm not going to do what you're telling me. You're saying it. You're telling him wrong. You're lying.
Yeah, I'm witnessing right now a lot of very unnatural cycles of habit, portrayed through speech and action. That's what I got so far.
Yeah, and a lot of us talk about that autism scale. And I want to remind people, autism is some kind of spectrum that they decided relates to characters, personalities, development, progression, growth, capabilities or potentials, things like that. And we have to remember, there is no one thing that is normal amongst all of us. There are certain categories that generally, if there's a good natural balance, we ourselves will have a good natural balance of those various different talents and personalities and how we live within our days. That's the natural thing that I try to follow my best. And it's this commercial system that placates that there's some kind of autism because we have to have this intellectual standard. That's what's wrong. It's not about the intellect. It's about the heart and its intent, right and wrong.
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out where their head's at, like, oh yeah, you got to go to the hospital, like they're looking out for her, or if there's like a machination, like if they're scheming on her.
There's
If
Well,
it's their
like I
intent.
said,
I'm trying to figure out their intent.
Yeah, I would
well,
assume they're scheming with the hospital a little bit in a way to feed the system. But again, the system
right.
of the hospital is broken too. So
Yeah, it's a way to feed the funding so that in their records they will see a cycle and they will expect things to happen. And when those things happen, they will amp them up and try to get that cycle to progress so that they can no longer live in society, but now they're fully dependent and they get the entire estate.
I think there's one more thing too that I saw. JG kind of made me think of it. Getting into his mind. Is he fabricating, or is he being off, or is he just like stupid or something,
Right. And in this sense, I think he absolutely fabricated because
Right.
she did agree that she said pin, and he came back and evidently said stab. That's because she said it and he never denied it.
Based off what I've seen right now, we know that their job is to actually get you to talk as much as possible. So the fact that he is cutting them off from speaking, that is an indication to me so far.
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of them control mechanisms saying that he's going to put forth the story anyway, and it doesn't matter what she says because he's going to twist it the way he needs to make it work for him and the other lady as a staff member.
Yeah,
So
he's
now,
probably got like one of his officers or him or something probably got some like little side deal where they busted some
some kind
dude.
of investment or something, it
But,
happens
like,
all the time.
Yeah, like he's not even thinking about this situation right now, clearly. Otherwise he'd be invested in it. He's not invested in it.
Right, he's invested in the
invest,
results
and
or
he's
something.
in it, but he's not invested in it.
Let's go. You're not making it any better for
You're not.
yourself. Yeah, you're not.
Okay, you know what?
Oops. So the next one, I didn't know how much there was left on this.
Yeah, I can give you my name. I don't have an ID with me.
Yeah, I think the policy is you have to have
Yeah, but the Florida laws, the law, not the policy, says that I'm allowed to attend the meeting. I don't care what your policy says. Obviously, you'll know that I'll be unarmed. You're going to screen me, I'm assuming. So I don't understand. I could give you my name.
Well, you can ask to talk to a higher authority and try to seek one out somewhere.
Yeah, I just want to attend the public meeting, just like the Florida Act. The Florida Public Meetings Act says that I'm allowed to attend.
Well,
so I'm not sure why you're refusing.
Well, they've got rules.
I don't care what the rules are.
We help them enforce those rules. I understand that.
Yeah, I just want to go to the public meeting.
But without that ID, how do you think you can get across there safely into the meeting?
Oh, like the ID provides my safety. Is that kind of like your gun provides you safety? How do you suppose you're going to get across that border safely? What border? What border? You mean go through the door? Mama taught me how to go through a door when I was crawling. How stupid these people are. Keep running your mouth and babbling some more.
Are they stupid or are they scheming?
My name's going to provide.
Both.
Say what?
Are they stupid or are they scheming?
Yeah, I think most of them are absolutely scheming. When they're doing this kind of shit, I don't think that's stupidity. I think that's scheming.
I will say one thing about the way he talked to that, because you got to realize, like, just imagine that everyone you talk to that wears that uniform, that color of law costume, that just assume that they're trying to fuck you over. Okay? So the guy did wrong there by talking to the costume guy and saying, like, I don't care about the laws. I'm not saying he did wrong. I'm just saying if he would have approached it slightly different, he wouldn't be, making an example out of this guy that we already know exists everywhere. He's like it's like a Sims character that just plug and play.
Yep. Well, and that's why we get on this specific point so much, though, is the IDs, because that's the problem. That's the problem. They try to placate that you are the person, and that's the biggest distinction we have to learn how to make. And again, it goes to that language. Unlearn the English they taught you and learn concise English, and you will comprehend exactly what a person, place, or thing is as a noun and what you are as a verb. An act of God in every breath you take is reproof of that.
Kind of confused.
Hey, real quick.
The law
Do you think that guy that is on the screen right now, do you think he will ever understand what you just said?
No.
I don't think so. I think there's a chance, but it's like his heart is very numb and stuff, so it's very hard to get past that.
Yeah, his heart is like an echo chamber. It's got a certain solidity to it that won't soften.
It's a valid picture
But that's a
identification.
policy. That's not law.
Yeah.
You're a law enforcement, right? Are you a sworn law enforcement?
Well, oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm just curious. Yeah. Just
Yeah,
so
I just want to tell you, pardon?
so I know how this is going to go.
Devon County School Police.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you're a sworn Florida officer. Yeah. I can give you my name. I don't have an ID with me.
Yeah, I think they're
Sworn Florida officer. Very important distinction. They have to take an oath in order to carry that badge under a licensed private police administration.
This cop got a call about somebody getting drunk, and he thinks this is reason enough to request this guy's ID. But that's unlawful, so the guy stands up to the triggered cop.
Hello. How's it going?
You doing right? How you doing?
Pretty good. What's your name?
Why does it matter?
Huh?
Why does it matter?
Because we got a call and we're here
About what?
about somebody who's been drinking.
Oh, then that wasn't me.
Sure. So what's your name? If you tell me your name and it's
Sure. So what's your name? So if you agree it wasn't me, then why are you asking me for my name? You just admitted in agreement that it wasn't me. Now you're going to ask my name. And listen next.
not the name that they told us, then we can just go away.
And if it's not, wait a minute. You already said sure, agreeing that, that's an assurance. Sure. That's the same thing as saying yes. Now they're going to ask for the name and say, well, if it doesn't match the name, then let's go. No, you already agreed it wasn't me. And it's likely because if they gave him a name, then they already know him by name.
Yeah, I got this guy. He's outside in my house parked. He's drinking alcohol. I just want him to leave. I just want him to get out of my area. He's just sitting there. Boom,
Yep.
Please show up. That's what happened.
I got contacted like that before. This like crazy lady who owned, I don't know, she thought she owned this area and like this little stupid marker on the ground for parking. Like I just wanted to go in, turn left, and you immediately park right next to my buddy's house. But instead she got mad and like told me to go all the way around to do it the right way, like the thing says. And I just laughed at her. And the cops showed up and I just like, I don't know, I just, you just be cool. Just be like, don't give them a reason, it's on, so sorry.
Yeah, it's amazing how many people they will try to push around all day long. This is a very systemic pattern of practice, and they get very good at it. It's
It'll
no
be
wonder.
It'll be interesting to see where he goes from here because he was last asked. Oh, he said, sure. So what's your name, right?
Yep.
I want to see what this drunk guy does. Is he smarter?
He's not even drunk.
Oh.
You can go away without me telling you my name.
What? Why? Is it better if he asks you your name? I'm asking him his name to see if his name is the one that they told us about. I already told him what it is. He just doesn't want to tell me his name because I don't know. I don't know why.
Why are you using that kind of language?
Huh?
Why are you using that kind of language?
Why? I think I've been a nice guy. I just want to save you from, if it is you, I just want to save you from getting in trouble, dude.
You can't save me from getting in trouble if I'm not doing anything to get in trouble. I'm all right. Everything's all right. Yes, sir.
No problem, bro. Have a great night.
This cop.
That was pretty quick, and the guy was pretty fucking calm and made very clear, concise statements that you just cannot defeat. Very logical. I can't get in trouble for doing something if I'm not doing something wrong.
Yeah, somebody definitely called the cops and lied and said he was drinking just to fucking fuck him.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. All right, guys.
Honestly, they may not have even called. They might have just been like bored because they kind of acted like they were bored, like they got this attitude. Like, it's like, are you bored? Like, are you doing a job, bro?
Yep. And That's the most the thing that it has such great discrepancy in my eyes is, you know, the budget and everything and all these crime rates, and you'd think they'd be really busy with crime, but you know, the reality of it is that they're not busy with crime at all, unless it's them committing the criminal acts. Because that's basically what their job is now, is they're nothing but a bunch of criminals themselves. Without them, I might expect that the crime rate might even drop.
Hey, well, I got one thing to say, that my cousin and also Eric have had instances where there's an issue between him and someone else, and now all of a sudden the cop is pressing charges, or the DA is going after them personally. Some
Yeah,
bullshit
yeah.
where a third party wants to interject somehow. And how is it that they're the victim when they were called to be the assisting party to, you know, maybe throw someone in jail, or at this
Yeah,
point,
go
make a
back.
report?
Yeah, go back and look at the real party of interest videos I did. The plaintiff has to name the real, has to bring a case in the name of the real party in interest. If the state of Iowa is a fictional name, then there's no real party. If it's a corporate name, sorry, that's not the real name. That's not the name
That's
of
why I
the
can't
real party
understand
in
how
interest.
this third party all of a sudden has a.
Go ahead.
It's one of the. Why would those people want to be
You're breaking up, brother.
or get in the middle of it? Unless I'll back out, but yeah, basically, it's just how would these third party people be wanting to be involved unless there was something to benefit from?
Yeah,
if you heard that.
And that's that pattern of practice where they've done it so many times that if they get involved, they can take over the paperwork and benefit from it. And the only way they can do that is by taking away your rights, titles, and interest to the property, and that's simply the name. They get a hold of that name, and boom, they've already got documentation and other agencies they can get a hold of and say, "Hey, man, who's this guy? You got a name and or an address and a number on him," and boom, they got a name and a number. Access to records. It's too easy.
See, I was gonna say this is where I've never done any of that stuff. Other than like I've been as cordial as I can. Like while we were watching those videos, briefly I counted 13 remembered encounters for various reasons that I've had with them boys. And yeah, shit, I'm sorry, I forgot what I was going with that.
Just smoke another one. All right. Well, with that, we come to the end of the stream for now. I'll be back at 9 o'clock with another one on birth record change, name control. So hopefully we'll see you guys then. And on your way out, what do you got? What do you got? What do you got?
What's for dinner?
I don't. I just had a bunch of fried chicken.
KFC?
No, homemade.
Homemade?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't go out.
I'm just being weird here.
Yeah, I don't go out. That's in processed food stuff, you know.
I would like to say I did remember that what I wanted to say was that I've never put forth the actions in the categories that you really talk about as much, where I've heard other people talk about, you know, with the sovereign and like with the telling them what's up, you know. I always keep it in mind, but I've never gone in depth because it is very hard to see like a 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yep.
1, 2, 3, 4, and 1 may branch off into 2, you know, 4 or so, whatever.
Yeah, and that's what I'm doing the research for, because I know, you know, like it says in their codes, even the law is construed to be uniform throughout all jurisdictions. So basically, I'm just looking for similar language.
Similar language of what?
Of how the law trickles down. If I'm the redeemer, then I'm going to look for the redemption language in these laws. If I'm the beneficiary, I'm going to look for the beneficiary elements down throughout the laws. So I'm going to understand what those hats are, what it takes to operate them and stuff. And that's why I learned the trust law, equity law, and contract law.
Okay. I know trusts have some value, to be.
Well, it's about expressing the trust.
Okay.
That's the whole thing.
All right. Well, thank you very much for your time and effort, man. I always learn a lot from you, and
All glory goes to him.
Everybody, really everybody here, and because
Yep.
Thank you. I got
you. Awesome. Keep coming back. Always appreciate the support. You other guys got anything on the way out?
Dude, I watch these cop interactions, and I always just think back to my experiences, what I learned. Dude, I got chased by the cops every fucking day in downtown Philly, and if you just talk to them like they're your friend, even if they're in the wrong or if they're out of line, just be cool. Don't give them attitude, man. I see so many people that can't behave and they just fuck up and get baited in, man.
Yep, I get that way.
You just gotta play it cool.
I get that way myself sometimes still, but that's only because, I start out calm, cool, and collective, and then they want to start escalating and get. The other day, the guy, he literally stepped right up into me, and yeah, that was the end of it. I'm not going to play nice anymore. I don't have a shovel or a fork, but I'll be goddamn. I'm a child of God, and I'm going to do everything to let you know you're fucking with the wrong guy right now.
All right, so the cops stepped up into your face?
Oh, yeah.
All right, you walked backwards, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's when you just say, hey, man, what are you doing? Like, come on, man. I didn't do anything wrong. You start to talk to them like a child.
Yeah.
You don't get carried away. Just talk to them like they're kids.
I have a hard time doing that. That's what I'm saying. I have a hard time looking at a full-grown man and seeing him as a child and knowing that he's in this position of authority, especially somebody that's 23, 25 years old and wants to get cocky with me, twice his age, has so much more experience.
Yeah, but that's where the real fucking work comes in, is the behavior. Like, we can understand why why this cop's fucking up. Why is this cop fucking up? Oh, this cop's out of line saying, we got this call, he's lying, whatever. You get what I'm saying? But that's where it all comes down to, his behavior.
Yep.
Just kill him with that fucking poise.
I will. Last thing I will quickly say is that the one thing here on the table that isn't mentioned, that I don't know if it was mentioned or not, but one of the most valuable things I've ever thought repeatedly over time is try your best to not put yourself in the situation like overly, don't put, I don't know,
well, yeah, you got to keep yourself emotionally bound, so that you don't get so involved in it.
Yeah, even just try not to have the interaction at all, unless it's for I don't know, if it's for a purpose of making a point, that's different. But if you're just out and about, you don't want to get wrapped up in that shit. 14, 15 down counter.
Yep. All right. Well, with that, guys.
Yeah, I'm gonna bounce my full keep. I had cops pull up on me a couple months ago, right? They said, "Hey, man, come here." And I just looked at him. The one black cop gets out of his car. He's got a pen and paper. They're like, "Hey, man, you need some food, huh? You hungry? We got some snacks. Can you give us our information?"
Yeah.
I just said, "Nah, I'm good," and I kept walking.
That's the time you wish you'd have had a donut, huh?
But I see they're scheming, right?
Yep, absolutely.
You can see it. You can see it in their eyes. You can see how somebody's fucking brains working through their eyes, and you can see these motherfuckers scheming. Yeah, and dude, you just gotta behave. You just gotta behave cool, I could see they were scheming, and I wanted to be like, "Fuck you guys, get the fuck away from me." But it's like, nah, I'm just gonna fucking not even entertain it.
See, and that's the part I can't even entertain myself because, and my brother was a lot like you. I had a brother that passed on 6 years ago on 4/20, and coincidentally, Hitler, his birthday was 4/20. Just a coincidence, just a fact. But we have to understand that there comes a time when we have to stand up. And so, like I'm saying, my brother was a lot like you. Rather than have a confrontation with him, he would just rather turn around and walk away. My confrontation is, you know, you're not my daddy. I'm not going to let this go by. And if I need to, I will make it a circumstance or event where other people will pay attention and there will be other eyes to see and ears to hear, so that when I do spout this stuff, maybe that will click with them too. Maybe it will trigger them. I'm not going to be the lamb sitting down and being quiet. I'm going to be the lion, and I'm going to roar. I've never been any other different. I don't know how to change. That's just the way I am. So
No, I hear you, man.
I understand the position, because, like I said, my brother was like that, and I got along with him great too. So,
no, I hear you.
We each have our own part.
Yeah, I've got live with cops. I've, you know, I don't want confrontation. Sometimes there is confrontation, but to me, it's just like it's a battle. You know, pick your battles. Now, if I see a cop and he's got his hand on his waist, like he's got his hand on his gun or something.
Yep.
You know, it's all different situations, man.
Yep, absolutely, and I agree.
I'm just saying the
So be
behavior
careful
thing, though.
out there
Nobody
for
talks
sure.
about this. You see all these videos. Oh yeah, you know, when dealing with the cop, you know, if you didn't commit a crime, you get what I'm saying. Like people we got to learn how to behave around police. You know,
you got to learn how to put your foot down, but don't put it down. It's the thing, you attract more flies with honey than vinegar. To defeat your opponent without fighting is a supreme excellence. So to be able to be in a situation like that where it could potentially be very violent, to make sure that it doesn't escalate and that's a good way to act. I don't suggest going around like me. That's for damn sure.
Well, I've been in your shoes, man. I've got hype with cops, but you know, they're just those motherfuckers. You know, they'll get the best out of you.
Yep.
All right, Keith. I'm shutting up.
All right. You bet. Love you, brother. And with that, guys, you know me. I love you, but I don't give a rat's ass whether you love me back. And that's say I don't care if you hate me. I don't care if you don't respect me. That's on you. So may God bless you and have a good night. We'll see you later. 9 o'clock.